My name's Dale Bailey. I'm the Director of Sydney Vital, and it's a real pleasure to welcome you all back face-to-face for a meeting. I think for many of us it's been a very long time since that has happened. We're delighted to be able to do that. Before we commence, I just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which our research centre sits, the Gamaragal, the Guringai and Darug peoples, and we pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So welcome to our Showcase 2020. This is a hybrid, as I guess life is going to be like for a long time from now on, with a lot of people streaming remotely, as well as here face-to-face in the auditorium. Why are we here? We're here because we care about people with cancer and we're trying to make things better for them. If you look at this graph from the most recent outcomes from the Cancer Institute, these are the decades of life along the x-axis, and the different colours correspond to different chronological decades. And you can see that, hold on. We made big strides in survival going through the 80s to 1990. We kept that momentum sort of going from 1990 to 2000. But since then, the improvements have been harder and harder to make. And so we are all focused on various aspects of trying to improve these outcomes. The Cancer Institute itself, of course, focuses on reducing the incidence of cancer, increasing the survival of people with cancer and improving their survivorship. And so they're all aspects that we deal with. We are one of the 7 translational cancer research centres that have been around for about 10 years now in New South Wales, funded through the Cancer Institute New South Wales. You can see the others there, and we're delighted to have Professor Roger Riddell from the Kids Cancer Alliance here today as well to talk to us. But I want to make the point that the 7 centres, all the work that goes on, is funded to the tune of $1 per person in New South Wales per annum. $8 million is split between these 7 centres. So I don't think that's a very large amount of money. The Cancer Institute model for our research spans from basic research through to bedside implementation and then finally into guidelines and policy. So it tries to encompass the wide range. Initially, when Sydney Vital started, we thought we needed to do the whole lot. And so we tried to do that for a while, and with varying degrees of success, I think, and then started to focus a bit more on certain areas, and especially T1 to T2, I think have been stronger for us. We have a model for our research here that is built around the 3 main programs, the flagships. You can see there, and you're going to hear from the speakers, the fellows in each of those, so I'm not going to tell you what they're doing. We then built around that another shell of support for PhD scholars, of whom you're going to hear from as well, and we call these our translational centres of excellence. And these are a mix of picking strengths of the campus, but also looking at things where we thought there were areas that wanted to get started in research and needed a bit of a leg up. And so it's a bit of a mix of the 2 of those. Of course, underpinning all of this, we have our platforms, such as biobanking and pathology, histology, imaging, and so on. We like to think of Sydney Vital as being something of a bridge between the research that goes on in many of the labs in this building and the clinical in the hospital next door. And so that's where we see ourselves positioned in that bridging area. Over the 7 years of Sydney Vital, we're delighted to be able to say that we've supported about 115 people in various degrees. And many of them are here today, and many of them have gone on to other areas of research and roles, be they clinicians or researchers, and have taken their research training that they got here with them, and we're really pleased about that. And I think the thing that we're now seeing in Sydney Vital, going into our final 12 months now of the current program, is that we're trying to really build that capacity for future clinical research in New South Wales and in Australia. However, we are really in a very much of a changing landscape at the moment, as many of you would be aware of parts of this, but maybe not the whole lot. Obviously, there have been changes in the calling, having a strategic rethink of our priorities. There's changes in the university's cancer research network to try and really invigorate that a bit more and trying especially to pull the precincts together, I think. Here at Northern Sydney, we now have a research strategy for our precinct, and we're undergoing another scoping exercise at the moment, looking at the role of the precinct itself. There are, of course, changes in the Cancer Institute's funding for the translational cancer research centres. And much as we're seeing here today, I think we're going to see permanent changes from 2020 on in the way we do business, the way we do research and the way we do clinics. At the moment, the Cancer Institute funds us out of this block grant, as I say, of $8 million per annum to the split between the TCRCs and then some money for a translational program grant. That's changing as of July 1 next year, where $4.5 million of that $8 million is said to going to be funneled through what are known as the Advanced Health Research Translation Centres, and I'll show you what they are in a moment. And we need to access any translational cancer research funding through that mechanism. There's going to be a bit more money for translational program grants. They'll run for 5 years and they're at a time, and there'll be 2 offered each year, and from next year I think there's going to be 3 offered, with the Cancer Council chipping in the 3rd one. There's also going to be one overarching statewide strategic priority translational program grant, probably in the main cancers that CINSW is focused on at the moment, which is lung, colorectal and liver. And that's a $7 million grant over 5 years. So again, we're still not talking about huge amounts of money. I'd like to see a 0 after each of those numbers. We naturally align ourselves with the Sydney Health Partners Consortium. You can see our 3 health districts, Western, Central and Northern, elements of the Sydney Health Partners, along with these other research institutes. And that's who we will be working with to access the Cancer Institute funding for translational research centres. The other significant AHRTCs are Sphere, which is based at University of New South Wales, and South East and South Western Sydney Health Services in particular, and then the regional New South Wales AHRTC, which is based around New England and Newcastle. And so they're the groups that will be looking to access funding for the TCRC programs going forward. Also, as we've had an opportunity on campus here to have a re-look at how cancer is structured, and this prospectus, which was requested of us and Alexander and I were able to work on, has now been delivered to the CEOs with the support of the senior clinicians and researchers here, and they're now considering what's been proposed in that. But the shift there is to really make the patient more central to the research and drive the research question, with sort of the MDT at the core of everything that we do, driving the research, driving the clinic, of course, and with the patients interacting with it more. And that's the vision that we have for our centre going forward here. We have produced a booklet, which we were hoping to have ready for you today, but the printer broke down at the print shop, so we aren't able to supply you with a copy. But we've really captured what our highlights have been for the past 7 years in that document, and that's available with the first QR code. If you scan that, you'll actually get the ebook popping up, and the other one is for the abstract book. So we're tapping into all the technology. I want to really particularly thank Susie and Anna and Natalie, who have really put not just this book together, but also this meeting together. They've really done all the legwork and done all the research to bring this to a culmination. So thank you very much. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the executives of Sydney Vital, who have been helping to steer this along for the last 7 years with 1 or 2 small changes. But our former director, Alexander Engel, who will be here later, and the founding director of the Cancer Research Unit here, Professor Stephen Clark. We must stop and acknowledge Angela, sitting up the back, for her outstanding award of last week. Congratulations, Angela. We're all delighted to see you come up in that YouTube video with David Currow. It's a fantastic effort. And also, I guess, reflect too on Anthony Gill's contribution to the campus. So we're really pleased to make this a celebration of your award as well as our own work and achievements. I'm also delighted to announce that I found out on Friday last week that we've been approved to install a total body PET system here under the National Core Research Infrastructure funds through the National Imaging Facility. This is our current PET scanner in schematic. Covers a little bit of the body, and we crab walk our way down the body to take a picture. This humongous machine has been developed. This one's a Chinese version. There's also one based in the US. And this is about a $10 million investment in this campus by the university, the NIF, and some funds that we had locally as well. It'll be used for 50% clinic and 50% research. With a machine like this, you can scan a person in about a minute. So you can do a lot of clinical patients in the morning and leave all afternoon to do all the research. And there's a lot of interest in studying whole body dynamics at the same time. And you can see the image on the right, an injection into the foot, and this machine capturing data of 1 second frames for the entire body. So as you'd imagine, there's a lot of interest in using this sort of a device. So I'm not going to extend my intro any further than that, but just to welcome you all.